propositional thinking, assertion of outside visual evidence, relativistic thinking, subjective making of opinion on facts, real versus possible, examining a situation and exploring the possible in terms of situation or solution. The hypothetic deductive reasoning. It emerges in reasoning from facts or situation to a particular situation. It is very important method for testing theories and hypotheses. The hypothetic deductive reasoning method is one of the most basic methods common to all scientific disciplines, including biology, physics, and chemistry. Its application can be divided into 5 stages. First, form many hypotheses and evaluate each hypothesis. 2. Select a hypothesis to be tested. 3. Generate prediction from the hypothesis. 4. Use experiments to check whether predictions are correct. 5. If the predictions are correct, then the hypothesis is confirmed. If not, the hypothesis is disconfirmed. In addition, this varies in both genders. For example, girls are much more capable in verbal abilities. They acquire language earlier than boys. For boys, they does not like reading tasks given at school or anywhere else. Boys excel in visual spatial ability, visualize objects and mentally manipulate them. Difference is greatest in mental retention tasks. This difference may come because of the biological, cultural, or environmental factors. According to Vygotsky's main idea was based on the children's environment which they live. From the environment, they learn their cognitive development and interaction between each other. Also, this can be said as when the children interact with other children who are skilled, they learn it from them too. This is more in adolescence. Vygotsky is famous for his idea about the zone of proximal development. ZPD is defined as difference between what a learner can do without help and what he or she can achieve with the guidance and encouragement from a skilled partner. Zone of proximal development is a concept that was created by influential psychologist Lev Vygotsky. According to him, ZPD, the distance between the actual development level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. Example of zone of proximal development. A child could not solve a jigsaw puzzle by itself and would have taken a long time to do so, but was able to solve it following interaction with father and has developed competence at this skill that will be applied to future jigsaw. With the idea of zone of proximal development, a new term also emerged, and that is the scaffolding. It refers to the help or guidance from an adult or more competent peer to allow the child to work within the zone of proximal development. Scaffolding is an important building blocks for the learning process. For adolescents also, they learn a lot through repeated instruction from teachers and peers. Scaffolding is a vital ingredient for the adolescents to develop their cognitive learning too. Problem-solving thinker. Outside from formal operational thinking that can be developed by mathematical and science studies, it is the identifying the problem and seeking new and creative solutions. Steps to become a problem solver. Observe and ask questions. Watch the way in which others perform. Ask others how they solve problems. Approach from a different angle. think of potential solution as if you were a child. Learn a new word, look at dictionary and find the word of the day. Use the word several times during a day. Understand something new. Watch movies, read or look at pieces of art and genres of styles that would not normally be of no interest. Read more about them. Ziegler's information processing skills. It views the human mind as a system that processes information according to a set of logical rules and limitations similar to those with which a computer is programmed. Four important processes: 1. Encoding and representation, 2. Strategies, 3. Automatization, 4. Generalization. In his experiments, he used his role model. Thereupon, adolescents may show the following: A. Speed in information processing, B. Complexity, C. Increasing volume of information processing. Metacognition. Three components of metacognition. First is the metacognitive knowledge or metacognitive awareness. Is what individuals know about themselves and others as cognitive processor. Number 2 is metacognitive regulation. Is the regulation of cognition and learning experiences through a set of activities that help people control their learning. It contains three skills. A. Planning refers to the appropriate selection of strategies and the correct allocation of resources that affect task performance. B. Monitoring refers to one's awareness of comprehension and task performance. C. Evaluating refers to appraising the final product of a task and the efficiency at what the task was performed. This can include re-evaluating strategies that were used. Number 3. Metacognitive experiences are those experiences that have something to do with the current ongoing cognitive endeavor. Three types of metacognitive awareness. First is declarative knowledge. Refers to knowledge about oneself as a learner and about what factors can influence one's performance. Procedural knowledge refers to knowledge about doing this. This type of knowledge is displayed as heuristic and strategies. A high degree of procedural knowledge can allow individuals to perform tasks more automatically. This is achieved through a large variety of strategies that can be assessed more efficiently. Number 3. Conditional knowledge refers to knowing when and why to use declarative and procedural knowledge. It allows students to allocate their resources when using strategies. This in turn allows the strategies to become more effective. Overachievers are individuals who perform better or achieve more success than expected. The implicit presumption is that the overachiever is achieving superior results through excessive effort. Achievement and IQ tests are used to measure learners' abilities. Those who fall to the top 3 and 5% are recognized as gifted. The latter are overachievers who has a very high grade. IQ tests, a score derived from one several standardized tests designed to assess intelligence. Advantages. Number 1. Good predictor of success in school achievement. Number 2. Beneficial in identifying learning deficiencies. Disadvantage. 1. Don't measure the great number of abilities that belong to human intelligence. French psychologist Alfred Binet was one of the key developers of what later became known as the Stanford-Binet test. Characteristic of overachievers. Number 1. Positive self-value. Number 2. Openness to authority. Number 3, positive interpersonal relations. Number 4, less conflict on issue of self-autonomy. Number 5, academic-oriented. Number 6, goal-oriented. Number 7, control over anxiety. Underachievers, individual whose performance fall below the measured IQ levels. It is a person and especially a student who fails to achieve his or her potential or does not do as well as expected. Two types of underachiever. 1. Withdrawn, more passive of their overt behavior, submissive and docile. Number 2. Aggressive, tend to be talkative if not disrupted and rebellious. Parents of underachievers demonstrate the following. Number 1. Indifference and disinterestedness in academic and extracurricular activities. Number 2. Authoritarian, restrictive, and rejecting attitudes or being excessively lax. Number 3. Excessive indulgence, solicitousness, and protectiveness. Possible adolescent behavior during cognitive growth. Number 1. Egocentrism, thinking too much of themselves. A. Imaginary audience, admires that exists only in the teenager's imagination. B. Personal fable, a teenager's exaggerated sense of their own uniqueness. Number 2. Idealism, adolescents' open thought on the possible. Developing occupational skills. Holland Codes. It is by John Holland. Is a theory of careers and vocational choice based upon personality type. It was developed by the psychologist John L. Holland. Each letter or code stands for a particular type. Number 1. Realistic, doers. Number 2. Investigative, thinkers. Number 3. Artistic, creators. Number 4. Social, helpers. Enterprising, persuaders. Conventional, organizers. Basic personality factors. Number 1. Realistic or the doers. Prefer practical tasks that require physical labor and motor coordination. Examples: carpenter, driver, electrician, engineer, etc. Number 2. Investigative or thinkers. Prefer to think rather than act. Example: computer programmer, chemist, detective, scientist, etc. Artistic creators. Prefer constructed tasks and may show ability of self-expression. Example: architect, artist, cartoonist, sculpture, etc. Social or helpers tend to engage in interpersonal situation and social interaction. Example: social worker, babysitter, physician, broadcaster, etc. Number 5. Enterprising or persuaders. Skilled and constructive in thoughts and action and capable of leading others. Example: trainer, politics, recruiter, activist, etc. Number 6. Conventional or organizers. Prefer structured tasks. Example: clerks, cashier, receptionist, secretary, etc. Attitudes and abilities needed for gainful occupation. Number 1 is self-reliance. Number 2 is ability to manage money. Number 3 is social responsibility. Number 4, mature work. Number 5, personal responsibility. Number 6 is positive attitudes. Extracurricular activities. School activities outside the subject are mechanism for further development of the adolescent student, allowing them to acquire new attitudes, knowledge, and skills and an avenue for leadership. Such as activities are generally voluntary as opposed to mandatory, non-paying, social, philanthropic as opposed to scholastic, and often involve others of the same age. Students often organize and direct these activities under faculty sponsorship, although students lead initiatives such as independent newspapers are common.